Hi, my name is Bryan Bodas. I'm the owner of Bodas Construction. We're a general contractor located here in Half Moon Bay. I didn't start out owning my own business. I actually started out by taking wood shop in high school. I found out I really enjoyed the process of building things, working with my hands. After high school, I became a cabinet maker for a couple years. Then I moved on to being a apprentice carpenter, and I worked in the Carpenters Union for 10 years in commercial type construction. And after that, I started my own business here on the coast side about 25 years ago. And I've went from being a carpenter to a business owner, and that's what I do now. I run a business managing construction, the company, primarily on the coast side here. If you're interested in starting in construction, I would say the best way is to just get working with somebody, getting experience in the field, doing the work, getting your hands dirty, learning how to build things. That's just really the best way to learn construction. There's some of the things I like about construction is just being able to work with your hands, to build things. You get the accomplishment of getting to see what you've built. People are happy once you work on their houses. They enjoy what you've done. There's a great sense of satisfaction.
Hi, I'm Mario. I started my career off in the county 4 years ago as a road maintenance worker one, and then I moved into the position of a senior utility worker. My position here basically is I lend a hand to all the different crews throughout the county, from Pescadero, La Honda, Princeton, and then here on Bayside is where I'm stationed. But I basically lend a hand to them by supplying them tools, their uniforms. I also take care of the yard here at Grant Yard. So I have a wide variety of duties that I perform here, and the most important one is getting these guys what they need, especially when they're out there on the road. If there needs something, there's an emergency, if they need something in a hurry, that's kind of on me. I'm the kind of the go-to guy. I do everything here that everybody needs me to do.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Luppi. I'm a senior creative producer working in-house right now at a tech company. I first got into filmmaking actually while I was in community college studying computer science. I had this film teacher who was just really passionate about filmmaking, and he really kind of showed me all the different avenues that you could take as a filmmaker. So you could go to Hollywood, you could do commercials, you could do what I'm doing now, working at a tech company, making all kinds of videos. And that just really inspired me. I hadn't thought about filmmaking as something that had so many opportunities. I kind of only thought of it as like you go to Hollywood and you make it or you don't. And so once I realized that there was this whole world that you could get into, I got really inspired. And so I focused on film and eventually transferred to SF State University. They have a really amazing film program. I studied screenwriting, producing, editing, all kinds of things, and ultimately landed on producing, which is more business side of things. So not as much of the technical camera work, but more of like finding an idea, building a team to make it happen, getting the budget for it, and yeah, that's what I've been doing ever since. So I've worked in-house at a tech company for a little over 2 years now, but before that, for almost 10 years, I was a freelancer. And there's a big difference between work-life balance being a freelancer versus being in-house. It definitely depends on if you're in-house, it depends on the culture of the company as far as your work-life balance. And if you're a freelancer, it depends more on your own kind of level of hustle. You can kind of decide how much work you want to have. I think the difference is when you're freelancing, you have to go look for your own work all the time. Whereas when you're in-house, a lot of the work is just comes to you naturally and is given to you from the organization. The best way for a student to get into filmmaking, whether you want to do commercials, work in Hollywood, make your own independent films, is just to start learning the skills on your own, making videos on your own as much as possible. With filmmaking, it's really a lot about your network and who you know and the skills that you bring to the table. So it's pretty cool that we have TikTok and Instagram now, which is a way for you to learn and flex your skills in a more casual setting and still be recognized for what you bring to the table. Um, and if you want to start looking for jobs, for an entry level job as a filmmaker, you can definitely go look for production assistant roles. So, production assistants are on set to basically help out wherever they can. Sometimes it does mean going and getting coffee and snacks for the crew. But even if that's what you're doing, you're getting to be on set and really get a first-hand look at all the different roles, how a set functions, and usually you're getting to help out all the different areas. So you get to kind of have a little bit of insight into everybody's role on set as a production assistant. Plus, you're building your network, which is always the best thing you can do. I would say if you're in high school and you're interested in filmmaking or honestly any kind of creative work, just like I said, just do it, dive in, start practicing it on your own. There's a lot of free tools like iMovie that you can use, and even TikTok you can edit, and Instagram you can edit videos. So just making things for social media can be a great way to explore what you like to do and to start building an audience for your brand of creativity. Filmmaking as an industry is evolving in a really awesome way because content, which includes film, music, all kinds of different creative aspects, it's becoming a huge part of how brands express themselves in the world. So almost every big brand now has an in-house production team, which means a production team that's just dedicated to working on all kinds of videos for that brand, which is what I do. So advertisements, interviews with partners, event videos, all kinds of things that you can do just for one brand. They all need that content because they're trying to build up their TikTok and Instagram accounts and just keep eyes on what they're up to. One thing I wish I knew in high school is that it really just takes practice with creative endeavors. I'm the kind of person where if I wasn't good at something right away, I thought I would never be good at it. And I wish I understood back then that all it needed was some time and patience. And if I was really interested and really enjoyed doing it, the skills would come naturally because that's all it is practice and time spent learning. The most helpful thing I did for myself in my career was get to know people in the industry and take the opportunities that were presented to me. So when I was still a sophomore in college, a good friend, someone who's a good friend now, asked if I would want to be a PA on their set, and I said yes. And that person has continued to give me jobs to this day. I actually work with him as he's my manager now at this new company. And I would have never even known about this company if it wasn't for him. And so making those connections is definitely the number one thing that I did to get my career where it is today.
So you personally, what was your journey into
Hi, I'm Ryan Rasmussen, Road Maintenance Manager for the Coastside areas for County of San Mateo, Department of Public Works, Road Services Division. I've been with the county for 14 and a half years, 4 years as a road maintenance manager. Prior to that, 2 years as a road maintenance supervisor, construction inspector for 2 years, road maintenance worker 2, which is a truck driver position, for a little over a year, and about 5 years as a road maintenance worker 1. So I started my career with San Mateo County as an entry-level road maintenance worker, and in 14 and a half years I've been able to aggressively go after every promotion and opportunity that I could to wind up in the spot where I am right now as a road maintenance manager, running a team that covers half of the geographical area of San Mateo County. Here in road services, we work a 4-10 schedule. There are alternating crews for full week coverage, meaning Monday through Friday coverage by the road department is staffed. However, each individual crew works a set 4-10 schedule with either a Friday or a Monday and their typical weekend days off. The best way for a student to start their career path, if they're interested in that with San Mateo County Road Services Division of the Department of Public Works, is pretty simple. You can go online and research information at smcgov.org/public works, or you can simply approach your local road crew if you happen to see them out and about working, and just kind of ask them questions and ask them how their job satisfaction is. Aside from that, you can feel free to call either of the road managers directly, either myself at 650-599-7281 or the Bayside maintenance manager Jeffrey Pacini at 650-363-4149.
Hi, Helen. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Helen. I graduated Half Moon Bay High in 2017, and I went to College of San Mateo right after. I went there for about 3 years, and then I transferred to San Jose State. On the side, I'm an artist. I created my own business right out of high school, and I also did some work on the side doing interior design. So I got a lot of experience right out of high school, and I'm grateful for that. And now I'm pursuing business marketing at San Jose State.
Awesome. So describe a little bit about your side business. What's the name and what's the focus, and what do you enjoy about doing with your side business?
My side business is called Coastal Wood Designs, and it's custom wood burned art. It's pyography. This is one of the sweatshirts I created as well. It's called Artwork is Work. And I do wood burned art for everyone and anyone, from senior citizens from both genders to kids in high school. I operate here on the coast side out of my house. And what I love about it is being able to connect with all walks of life through art. And I've also been able to raise some money for nonprofits. I've done one for global profits like UNICEF and Red Cross, but I've also done local nonprofits like Coastside Pride and Coastside Hope. So I'm grateful to be able to connect with others and raise funds for nonprofits that I wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Got it. So what would you give advice for someone that was looking to start a side hustle, or somebody that's interested in, passionate about art, or anything that they would need to start their own business here on the coast side?
I recommend experimenting with a lot of different mediums of art. In high school, I was an average student in art classes. I was not this outstanding artist. I wasn't really good at sculpture. Mr. Reardon can talk on that. I wasn't very good at sculpture. I wasn't very good at drawing portraits. I struggled with a lot of mediums of art, and I found this wood burning art outside of high school. So you're not always going to be good at art in school, and I know that can be discouraging to a lot of kids. So definitely mess around with all different kinds. There's a million different types of art. You might be good at some and you might be bad at others, but I recommend taking the time and experiencing with it, and then giving it time, because when I reflect on when I first started in 2017, my work is nothing compared to where it is now. So be patient and experiment with all different types of art.
And how do you find buyers, and how do you find or coordinate with all of the different finances that you have to do with your business?
Yeah, so I do all my marketing through social media. That is obviously huge. We all know about that, and I recommend taking the time to focus in on that. I don't do door to door. I don't hand out flyers. I don't go to stores and ask them to buy my stuff. I rely heavily on marketing, also word of mouth. So pay attention to your connections with other people, build good relationships, learn to communicate. In this day and age, people really prefer to hide behind a phone, but I think it's kind of a dying skill to be able to communicate with one another face to face. So social media marketing, word of mouth marketing, and communicating with others in this community. Everyone is extremely supportive. So center in on that, and I think those are most important. Yes.
Tell us next steps.
Next steps, I am going to be in my first art gallery. I usually do commissioned work, which is custom work, which is by order. People message me, I make what they want. But now I'm going to be in an official art gallery downtown. It's called the Ocean Blue Vault, and it's owned by David Oliphant, who owns Ocean Blue Real Estate. It's right across the street from Bank of America on the corner. It's a brand new art gallery, and opening night is this Wednesday, March 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. If you can't be there, or if this video gets released after, the art's gonna be in there for 3 months. So you guys can walk in anytime, Thursday through Sunday, and check out some of my work. So this is a really big milestone. I would have never imagined myself being able to get put into a giant art gallery, but here I am, and I'm extremely grateful. So go check it out.
Congratulations. All right. So, Helen, after all of this experience, do you ever foresee yourself even graduating from college working behind a desk?
I think that I might have to start there as a baseline, but as for a career, I feel that I need to be moving around and involved with people, and I don't see myself behind a computer 9 to 5 in a cubicle. I need more than that. I need a creativity push. I need a people touch, communication. So I've learned a lot of that about myself, and I'm thankful for that. And
that's awesome. So in terms of your business, give us a little bit more background. How many pieces do you make a month approximately? How many orders do you get based on your social media?
Yes, so that really depends. I could do maybe 10 pieces a month or 5 pieces a month. It depends what people order. If people are ordering little coasters, I can pump those out much quicker. But if someone's ordering a big custom design with all this crazy cool stuff, that's going to take me a little bit longer. Pricing depends on the size of the wood, the type of the wood, and how much is on it. I work with local wood from a local wood miller who gives me his scraps that he can't use to build furniture. So that's really special.
And how much on average is a piece? Just give us a range.
So coasters can be $10 to $15, and then my larger pieces, if you want a really fancy design on a big redwood tree slab, that can be $300, $400. So my prices vary, and I like to stay within the customer's budget. So that's really important, doing custom work. I always ask the customer, what's your price range? And I will stay within that range.
Awesome, awesome. So what would you like to focus on for your business and growing your business?
Yeah, I would like to continue pushing social media. I haven't had a ton of engagement as I would like because it's very difficult to keep up with, especially being a student at San Jose State. It takes a lot of work. People think it's just this fun little making fun post, but there's actually a lot of structure to it. So I would like to focus on that a bit more. Like I said, it's a free tool for everyone, and they should definitely utilize it, but the Instagram algorithm can work against you. So there's a lot to learn about social media, and I also would like to build a website for people to kind of panel through. Social media has been great with the younger generation, but I do struggle making contacts with the older generation. I use Facebook for that, but some of them don't even like Facebook, so I want to be able to reach all demographics of customers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we hope that you're going to have continued success, and we can't wait to see what is in store for Coastal Designs. All right, name. What's your name?
Len Tomberlin,
Okay, what year did you graduate?
1986.
1986. What's the company you work for and what's your job title?
I work for Critchfield Mechanical.
And your
I'm
job
a
title?
General Foreman,
Of what
Plumbing.
industry?
plumbing contractor.
Plumbing contractor. What would you say is the benefits of being a plumbing contractor, from like job stability, benefits of the job, pension, car?
Well, we're union, so all of those apply.
And
Job
what-
stability, the structure, it's all the structures provided, including 2 raises a year and all your health and welfare benefits. So you just kind of get on the train and follow it.
And what does that mean, having a pension?
Retirement,
Paid retirement?
paid retirement.
At what age?
I'm 55, but I believe now it's up to 62.
Got
You
it.
get 62 to retire.
And can you tell me any advice for a Half Moon Bay High School student looking to get into the plumbing unit? What does that mean?
As a senior, junior, whatever, kid in high school, if you're undecided on what you want to do, it's not a bad avenue. It's the structure for the schooling is every Tuesday, every Thursday in Burlingame.
Okay, wait a second, repeat that because I had to go to a new video. So what advice would you give for a student at Half Moon Bay High School that wanted to get into the plumbing union, and what does that mean?
Advice would be you gotta just pass the entrance exam, and then you go to school 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 9, and I believe you start at about $18 an hour, and when you turn out, you're about 73 right now.
Holy cow, 18 bucks an hour getting paid to go to school?
Day one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then once you get your journeyman, $72 an hour.
72 for a journeyman, and then foreman is 10%, and next foreman is 12%, and then it continues up to that after that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate all your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
If you are interested in becoming a software engineer or entering the tech world, my best advice that I can give, which is not advice or it's not what I did to get into it, is really just try to do a side project. The nice thing about computer science and programming is that anyone can do it. If you have a computer, then you can build something, and there are amazing resources on YouTube. Roblox has a bunch of resources that we use for education, and honestly, over the pandemic, because a lot of my hobbies I couldn't do, I picked up developing on Roblox as a hobby, and it was super fun, and I really wish that I had it when I was a kid, because I'd probably be a significantly better programmer now. But that being said, if you have something and an idea like a website, or you want to solve a problem, or you want to build something cool, then do that. Because even if you end up being some machine learning engineer, and right now you make like a silly Roblox game, like I made a grill where you can put anything in the grill and it'll flatten it and apply grill marks to the sides, and it's this dumbest little stupid thing, but I learned about C-frames, and I learned about decals and faces, and each thing that I've created I've learned a little about. And while a lot of that's applicable to just Roblox, a lot of it's also just like really complex math that really tripped me up in college. And I made like a version of Doodle Jump where I don't know if y'all will know Doodle Jump. It was really popular when I was in probably high school, but it's just the little thing where you like jump up the platform. And that had some like rate casting and vector math, which again, vector math is something that I had a hard time with in college. So I guess my notes there would be, if you have a project that you thought about doing, try to do it, see how far you can get, because even if you don't fully complete it, you'll learn a lot. And also, if you're applying for internships or interviews, then having something that you're passionate about, no matter how silly, is really, really great to talk about. I think I made a website in college for my friend Hugh, just to mildly annoy him because he hates attention. And I would just, I don't know, I think I hooked it up to the Venmo API, and I said if you sent me $1, I would mail him a potato, because you can just put a stamp on a potato along with a lot of other things and mail it in. And I added a lot of silly things. I had a lot of things embedded that just made it really funny. It was all related to my friend Hugh. And in interviews, people would ask me what I was interested in, and I kind of had the option of mentioning something silly and dumb, or mentioning a college project. And I think I don't think that anyone forgot when I mentioned the Daily Hue as my like pride or project, because it was just, it was a passion project, and it may not have been the most technically advanced, but it was something where I had an idea and I did it, and I can tell them what I learned. So it's something that whenever I'm interviewing people and they have a passion project, no matter how silly, I always love hearing about that. So don't be afraid to pursue something. That's it's one of the few places that you can just go and do it. So my day-to-day in my job has changed a lot since I entered the industry, and from my first job to where I am now. At my first job, I had a bit of a nebulous, endless bug queue and really clear requirements and guidelines and things to hit. So I was often working alone and reacting to other teams' changes in my own work. And that actually was, I think, one of the reasons that job was just not a very good fit for me, because I didn't have a lot of control over the product roadmap. There really wasn't like an end in sight to a lot of the work that I was doing. It's just like, let's get it as close to perfect as possible. And it was never really perfect. So, and my next job, instead of doing iOS development at Apple, I was doing web development at Roblox. And web development is a whole different world. You can make a change in the morning and ship it an hour later, which, not that you should be doing that, but it's really nice when you have something that can go, like, get quickly into users' hands. And I've gotten to know our developer community, which are the people, both players and developers, will use our website and our tools. And so the fact that some of my friends will say, "Hey, Andrea, I saw these changes on the website, was that you?" And I can be like, "Yeah," either like it was me or I know the person who was. And it's nice to get feedback. It's nice to have fun people that you care about using your products, and it makes me really motivated to keep doing what I do. As far as work-life balance goes, honestly, I think working from home, being more flexible after COVID, it's been really nice for me, because I am a pretty social person. So when I go into office, I love to chit chat. I love to hang out with my coworkers. And sometimes, because I knew that I'd get distracted throughout the day, I used to like skip my lunch breaks just to eat at my desk, or I'd stay later to wrap up work. But the fact that I can have a couple days now where I'm just in my office at home, focused, it makes up for that. And I'm able to, figure out what works best for me that week. And if I have a lighter week, if I have more meetings, maybe I'll go into the office more, maybe I won't. And I'm, in a weird way, thankful for the pandemic that it at least made flexible working more of something in the forefront of companies' minds. So when I entered college, as I said, I didn't know a lot about programming. So the first year or two were pretty rough for me. It was a lot of information. A lot of the people that I went to college with had been programming for a long time, or their parents were programmers. So it was definitely a slow start for me, but I was able to get an internship at Google my second year through their program that was geared towards minorities, computer science. I learned a lot again, and it was a really valuable experience. I ended up going back to Google for my second internship the next summer in an area that I really cared about, which is accessibility. Accessibility, if you don't know, is making sure that, or the area of the industry that ensures that products and things are usable by people with disabilities. So I was very interested in that. I've always loved sign language. I did some stuff with that in high school, and it was super cool that I got to go work at Google on the accessibility team. And then when I graduated, I went to work at Apple on the accessibility team. So I worked at Apple for almost 2 years. It was an amazing team and an amazing job, but it just wasn't the best fit for me. And I left and took a couple months off, and then Roblox found me through just a LinkedIn cold email, and I have been at Roblox ever since, which is about 4 years now.
So today I am at the third day of the week-long Game Developers Conference, and as I'm not at the office to take these videos, I have recruited some coworkers to take the videos for me. So here is their footage with a little narration from me. So when you first walk in the office, there is our wonderful lobby, which has a lot of toys and people, and our wonderful admin Karen, who's the nicest person ever, and the best person to greet people ever. As you can see, it's nice and sunshiny. We've got a Roblox logo. It's my coworker Anthony. He comes in once or twice a week. Zach comes in every day, sits right across from me, and he got a cupcake I see, which I'm missing out on. And then this is Mark. He sits behind me and, as always, is having a hard time keeping a straight face. This is everyone on their way to lunch. Looks like a beautiful day. I wonder what the cafe has. And here is our cafe. You can see everyone's ordered, waiting for their food. Nice little action shot of the burgers looking nice and charbroiled. And then we got people got the food and then all sitting together being a little happy little family. And then, of course, can't forget the smoothie and boba shop. This is a new addition after COVID. It's a nice little perk of being in the office.
Hi everyone, my name is Marisol and I'm currently a medical assistant here at Dr. Lou's pediatrics office in Half Moon Bay and at the After Hour Pediatric Surgeon Care in San Mateo. Hey guys, so as you may know, I am a current medical assistant and I recently graduated in May of 2021, so I have about a little bit more than a year in this career field. For those of you interested, I do want to give you a little breakdown of how I got here. After graduating high school, I did attend community college, which I started off in CSM, but then I transferred to Kenyatta College, which had the medical assistant program. I completed it in about 5 years because I was a half-time student and I was working, so it was a little harder to be full-time and working. It was a little overwhelming for me in my case, but I'm glad it ended up working out. So once I before I graduated, the last course you take as a medical assistant in the program, they will place you in an internship. So they will place you in a location to complete externship hours. Luckily, I was placed here in Dr. Lou's pediatric office in Half Moon Bay, which was convenient for me because I don't live far. I'm just in Moss Beach, so like 15 minutes. And so luckily enough, Dr. Lou was able to train me. He was very patient. I've learned so much. Here, I take care of almost everything, as in the administration, scheduling patients, checking in patients, taking vitals, giving injections if needed, picking up phones, basic stuff like that. So I do get exposed to a lot in like the medical field. So it's a good way to get to know everything in detail. So for those of you that are interested in the medical field, just know there are different career paths you can take. I know there's medical assistant accelerated programs for those of you that want to finish faster, but definitely I would recommend take your time. Everyone has their own pace. Don't rush it. You don't want to stress over it too much, get too overwhelmed. All right, guys, just to wrap up, any of you interested in being a medical assistant, if you like working with kids, I would highly recommend pediatrics. You do see from newborns to adults and just seeing the whole process. It's amazing. I love it, and I'm sure any of you interested will really like it too. No, there's definitely so much opportunities going on right now. Don't be scared to be out there. Ask for help if you need it. Anyways, I do want to say I wish you all the best of luck, and hopefully you all reach your goals, whichever career you guys want to do. But definitely, I'd say go for it. And good luck to all the seniors this year, and congrats to the class of 2022. Hello everyone, so I'm going to show you guys a little clip of what my workspace looks like here at Dr. Lou's pediatric office in Half Moon Bay. So here this is my station. Usually what I do here is mainly administration things, checking in patients, charting, billing, and then I'll have you guys come on back. And then here's usually where we weigh patients. Depending on their age, if they're babies, we use the baby scale, and the bigger scale for the bigger kids. Hi guys, so I have a patient here that came to help me out today. Just gonna do a quick demonstrate of what I do on a normal basis here. So I got this blood pressure machine and the stethoscope just to make sure. I use it to check what their blood pressure is. This usually goes wrapped around the arm, so I'm gonna use him. And we wanna make sure artery aligns just on this side of the arm. And then it gets just wrapped here. Okay. The stethoscope allows me to listen to the beat. So it puts right under here. I use this to check and pull it all the way, go up to about 120, and then slowly start going down until you hear the first one and the last one. And then usually we do weigh the patient, and we use the O2 saturation machine to make sure that their oxygen levels are good and their heart rate. We have a patient, and I'm going to use the O2 saturation machine, which allows me to see what the oxygen level and the heart rate is at. We have him wait a little, and we'll have the numbers come up here. I want to make sure. Give it a minute. About 97, 95, which is normal. So otherwise, that is pretty much what I do. I chart, and then I let the doctor know the patient is ready. Alright guys, so I'm going to be showing you an example of what I do currently at my job. So here I am currently in the after-hour pediatric surgeon care in San Mateo, and as you may know, we are in COVID times, so I'm going to be showing you how we do a rapid COVID test. So I'm going to show you here. This is our swab that we use to collect the sample. We're going to use a test strip and the tube and liquid that we use to collect. So I'm going to use me as an example. So I already have my gloves on. So we get the swab, and this one we collect both nostrils, but like mid nostril, so it only goes about 10 times per nostril. So once we have that, we set it, we get the tube ready. So we want to get the lid off, and the liquid that goes inside, twist, we pour the liquid in the test tube. Then it kind of looks like that. We get the swab, we put it in there, and you mix about 10-15 times. And then once you have that ready, take the swab out. We have this, we'll set it down, and I will show you. We get the test strip, and it looks like this. And it goes right inside, and then it takes about 10 minutes to get results. So usually we will see one line that will be negative or 2 lines being positive, and that's about it for a rapid COVID test.
Hi, my name is Jaclyn Long, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. To do what I do, you can go to college and study psychology, but you don't have to. You can always take some psychology courses after you graduate, but it is helpful to take psychology in college. And then after that, you can apply to graduate school and go to school for about 1 to 2 more years, depending on how quickly you can take these classes. And then you can start doing an internship in counseling. I worked during the day at the YMCA in grad school so that I could make the money to put myself through graduate school. I took out a loan to do that, and I taught swim lessons and coordinated swim lessons at the YMCA in order to get myself through graduate school. I also taught yoga. And then you go through an internship process, and then eventually you can start working as an intern. And there's a variety of different clinics that you can work at. Some people go into private practice, and I worked at a bunch of different clinics and hospital settings and schools, and then I started working in my own private practice. In private practice, it's nice because you get to set your own schedule, which was really important to me so that I could be home for my child when I had children. And you can also set your own fee. In the Bay Area, people charge anywhere from $120 an hour all the way up to like $350 an hour for what I do. I charge $180 an hour. I feel like it's a nice mid-range. And then 3 years ago, I also opened a organization, and I'm now hiring other therapists to work for me and with me. And that has really boosted our ability to serve a lot more people and do a lot more good for our community. So it's a very rewarding job. There's a lot of personal development involved, which was really, really lovely. Learning so many tools and skills that not only benefit my own life, but also my son's life and my husband too. So it's a really beautiful way to learn and grow and give back to the community, help people. And this is one of our offices. We have some toys over there that we get to play with, and I can show you another video with more about our office, but this is a fulfilling path that I highly recommend, and it's certainly very needed right now with all of the experiences people have been through with the pandemic. Thanks, and be well. So this is a view of one of the offices here in Mindful Child and Family Therapy. I need to put my mask on, so it's going to be a little muffled. We're a healthcare facility, so we need to wear masks here. This is another one of our offices. Another office here. Okay. And I'll just show you the waiting room. This is another office here. We have a nice little deck out here that we like to use. And this is our waiting room. Mindful Child and Family Therapy. And these are all of our lovely therapists.
Hi everyone, congratulations on your career day. I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm Akanksha Bakshi. I am a product manager for business technology, and I work for an organization called Salesforce. Salesforce is a technology company that provides business solutions for businesses to run more smooth and efficient processes. We help with a lot of automation and giving them one platform where they can run all of their business processes. I'm here to talk to you guys about my job's lifestyle. What does it include? Usually my schedule is 5 days a week. I start around 9 a.m. Central Time since I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. And usually that goes till the evening around 6 p.m. in the evening, and with 1 hour lunch break included. And then I feel overall I don't have a lot of stress at my work. There are situations where I have to deal with some difficult or challenging projects, but I really enjoy that because that's something I like doing. My role does not involve, as a product manager, my role does not involve a lot of travel. I do have to travel maybe uh, 3 to 4 times a year, but it's not a very constantly on the go, on the travel kind of job that you would have for someone who's probably in sales or marketing or those kind of roles. Um, but I do work with a lot of people, whether I'm in the office or I'm working from home, especially after the COVID pandemic. We've all shifted our work from home. But I still interact with a lot of people, a lot of teams. I have to be a product leader in my role, so I have to work with the different cross-functional teams across our IT department, make sure that they understand what we are trying to do about the product, why we are doing it, how to launch the product, how to make everyone aware of the features or enhancements we are releasing. And that involves a lot of interaction across the organization. So if you really like talking to people, this is one of the roles you should consider. Um, I think overall there's a lot of work-life balance. Uh, Salesforce as a company provides us that. Also, I try to manage my work and life, together hand in hand. Family is always first for me, so I make sure that I make time for family, make time for my personal relationships, and work will always be there. So you be 100% dedicated at work, but after 6 p.m. when I log out, I'm at home and I'm fully attentive to my family, and I don't think about work after that. So uh, there is work-life balance in this role as well, but it's also, you need to keep in mind that that's always going to be a necessary thing to, kind of bring into your life. Make sure that your family gets enough equal time as your work does. Um, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is what is the best way, if you're interested in this job or in IT industry overall. uh, there is no one set path on which you can begin. If I could give you a cheat sheet and say, okay, if you start here, you'll end up here, it never really works that way. It's always you need to navigate your journey on your own. But I would say there are three things, to keep in mind while you do that. One is follow your passion, follow what you like doing, try to stay closer to things that you like doing. There'll always be 20% or 30% of things in your day that you might not 100% enjoy, but try to at least have that 80-20 balance where you're doing most of the things that you enjoy doing, whether it's interacting with people, launching products, or doing code developments or writing applications. So think about what you like and try to follow your passion, and you'll always feel you'll make progress because you'll be driven and you will want to move to the next step. I think the second thing to keep in mind is networking. Leverage relationships, build relationships with your colleagues. You'll find some mentors. Be very, there are a lot of people there to help you, but build your relationship with them. Make sure that you have the help that you need, the guidance that you need, because there will be people who are more experienced and who have been in that role for longer, and they can help you learn what are the challenges they faced, how to get past certain things, areas where you may be feeling stuck. So having those mentors, having those partnerships in your work really helps you to realize, like, what's the next step for me, how do I go about this. um, and I think the third thing is be humble. Just, there will be times when you'll make a mistake. There will be times when we are not perfect. But if we just be humble, learn from those, and try to improve ourselves the next time, we are definitely becoming better at what we do as we go. For me, I started my journey as an analyst. I moved into various different roles. I tried project management for some time. I really liked it, and then I moved into a product manager role. So those two roles are, they're similar in the way that you need to interact with a lot of people. You are working with cross-functional teams, but they are also slightly different because of the expertise and the focus you bring into that role. So, read about different roles that are available out there in your field. Try to learn what are the basic job responsibilities. See how much of that 80% that you like is in that job responsibility, and then that will really help you decide what is the next step for you. Also, I don't think you need to stick to one path. So always, if your interest today is to be a project manager, but tomorrow it changes and you want to go into becoming a developer and you want to write code and build applications, make that switch. Use your networks, use your connections within the company or outside of the company in the industry to help you get there where you need to be. So just keep an open mind. You never know what your next opportunity is going to look like. It may teach you something new. So, and you may find that you really like it now, and your interest will change over the years. So, I would just say, start start with what you like doing today, and then as you get to learn more, you will know what you want to be and where you want to go. So I hope that was helpful for all of you. I know you're still getting out of high school, so don't take life too seriously. You still have time to enjoy. I mean, we all have time to enjoy. Yes, there is a career. Yes, we need to work towards our own development, but we also need to enjoy life as we go. So keep that in mind. Don't take things too seriously, but also keep working towards your goals and you will get there. Just be patient with yourself and be humble. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is Akanksha. I am a product manager at Salesforce. I just wanted to walk you guys through my work from home setup these days. This is where I work from. After the pandemic hit, we have switched over to working from home more often than the office. So I can't show you the office today, but I can definitely show you, how I work from home. So this is really my setup. I have my window by the side. I love to see outside and be able to see who's at the door before I go down. The perks of having work-life balance when you're working from home. And then, this is my Salesforce laptop that I got from the company. I did get a good stand for myself, a laptop stand, just because it's more, ergonomically better for me. It helps you, since we are on the computer all day, it really helps to add these little things to keep your back healthy, to keep your spine healthy, and be able to work for longer hours continuously. I do have an extra screen that I use sometimes, and then my usual notebook with all my notes and stuff. There's my office phone right here. I try to keep my family around as well when I'm working, so just a little bit of decoration on my table as well. And then I have my fish here. It's a betta fighter. Sometimes when I'm feeling really stuck or bored or just like need a change, I just turn around and look at this fish, and it's my partner in crime at work here. So you can also call it my work from home colleague. And that's pretty much it. I do have some of my hobby stuff there, like craft and sewing, that I like to do in my additional time, and on weekends and stuff like that. But that's mostly where I work from.
Hey guys, my name is Jamie Verdura and I own Verdura Construction. We are a local company here in Half Moon Bay. We specialize in residential construction and we build custom homes, brand new homes. We take bare land and we build new structures, okay? I started the trades when I was 21 years old. I realized that I wasn't doing very well in college, kind of wasting my time spinning my wheels. So I decided to go work for a local contractor in Pacifica. And I was hooked. So the first 5 years, I learned how to build. I love building homes. I love working outside. I'm not an inside kind of guy. Right now, I currently run the business with my wife. My wife runs the office, and I run the field. I like to be outside working with the tools and working with our crews. But I learned how to build, and I learned that I loved it. So I kind of pursued that. And then I realized that there's a lot of different layers and levels of construction. first you're an apprentice or a laborer, and then you become a journeyman. And at a journeyman level in the trades right now, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC people, all these guys, all these trades, all these girls, they make a really good living. There's union jobs. There's jobs with local guys like me that pay very well right now, okay? Because we need people and business is booming. There's a lot of people building, especially in California. So it's a great business a great career to pursue. But what I learned is there's several layers. Once you're the journeyman, if you want a little more responsibility and a little bit more money, you become a foreman, and then a project manager, and then a superintendent, and then a general contractor, which I decided to do. Okay, I wanted to open a big company. So right now I started as a 21-year-old kid digging ditches, and now I'm a 43-year-old man that has 30 employees and does multi-millions a year. Okay, so the sky's the limit in the trades. And not to mention, if you like design work, architecture, engineering, there's all kinds of different facets of this business. It's not all just out in the field. I suggest getting some time out in the field if you want to do anything in the industry. Let's say you want to be a project manager or a general contractor or an architect. I think you should spend some summers or a little bit of time in the field, and you learn to get a lot of hands-on learning. It's very important. So to say the least, you don't need to be college educated, but you do need to be high school educated. You need to know some basic math. There's a lot of math in our trade, especially for carpenters. And you have to learn you have to know how to read and retain. So you guys got to study, you got to work. It's not just, you just show up and dig ditches and it works out for you. You got to put some effort in here, okay? But don't forget the sky's the limit. Another big thing, I know there's a lot of kids probably watching this that are in the Immersion program. Being bilingual is huge, okay? We have a strong Latin workforce in California, and being able to communicate with them effectively and efficiently is huge for the bottom line, for the guys, for safety, for everything. So if you guys are in the Immersion or just bilingual, that's a huge advantage. And it's actually, bosses will pay more for that, okay? Because that helps, the quality of the team and, and basically everything in life's communication, okay? So if you're good at communicating, it's a big thing. To get into this business, I got into it at 21 years old. To get into it, you just got to go try. A lot of construction companies will start young people at the bottom, okay? And that's where I started. Shovel, digging ditches, coffee runs. That was it. So reach out. We're local in Half Moon Bay. We're building a lot of custom homes here on the coast. Reach out this summer if anybody wants a job. Guys, girls, anything. We don't just do carpentry. We do foundation work, steel work. We operate machinery. We frame, we project manage, we do interior trim, we do a lot of cool woodworking stuff. So there's a lot of different facets and a lot of things that you can learn and get exposed to on a summer job if you just reach out. So I'm sure they'll be able to put you guys in touch with me or reach out to other construction guys and girls out in the industry and see if you can get yourself on a site and get a little exposure. Like I said, there's a lot to this. There's a lot of layers, and we're looking forward to, giving you guys a shot.
Hi, my name is Brenda de Jesus Acosta. I am currently a kindergarten Spanish immersion teacher here at Hatch Elementary School. This is my second year teaching. My first year was mostly remote due to COVID. So this is my first whole year with students in here all day. I actually graduated from Half Moon Bay High School in 2015. And then I went on to UC Santa Cruz to get a bachelor's degree in sociology and a master's degree in education, and landed here. My schedule is pretty much the same, Monday through Friday. I come in around 7:20, 7:30. Students arrive at 8:05. We spend all day together. At 2:10, students are dismissed. I stay here for another hour and a half to 2, prepping for the next day, getting art projects ready, contacting families if I have to. And there are days where we have meetings, we have grade level meetings, whole school meetings, and sometimes the whole district, we have a meeting together. If you're interested in becoming a teacher, I definitely recommend finding a school, a college or university that offers a program where they help you get credentialed. You do need a credential to teach. So you need either a multiple subject if you want to teach kindergarten through 6th grade. After that, you need single subject credential. So you pick a subject and then you get your certificate or credential in that subject. So I suggest that you find a school that offers that, where you can do it simultaneously. I did that at UC Santa Cruz, where I was getting my master's and I was working on getting my credential at the same time. So there are programs that offer that, and it's nice to get it done at the same time. I also definitely recommend getting involved in education, volunteering, finding internships, getting just your hands-on experience, just so that you learn so much from everybody. And I really appreciated that I was able to volunteer for so many years here at Cabrillo before I got a job. I was able to volunteer in Santa Cruz when I was living in Santa Cruz. I actually studied abroad in Mexico City, and I was able to volunteer at some schools abroad. So just hands-on experience, just to see if that's, what you really want to do, if that's what you're really interested in. Being bilingual has greatly helped me in my career. I use it every day. I now teach kindergarten dual immersion, so I teach Spanish and English. So it's something I'm very proud of, that I can communicate in 2 languages, and especially living in this community, so many of our families are Spanish speaking. So it really helps me communicate clearly with families. It helps me set plans, learning goals for students, and that me and the parents are both on the same page. I think the most helpful thing that I did to prepare myself for my career is lots of volunteering, fellowships, internships, a lot of finding different areas where I could practice what I wanted to do in the future. So I held part-time jobs while I was at UC Santa Cruz. I held jobs at the local schools there. As part of some of my classes, I would go and volunteer at schools just to conduct research or do practicums, lots of internships, fellowships, volunteer opportunities. I would come back here to Half Moon Bay in the summers and volunteer. So I think I tried to prepare myself as much as I could, so that when it came time to having my own class, I could pull from the different techniques I learned from other teachers or other educators. There are lots of international opportunities, I believe, in an education. You can go teach anywhere.
Hey, awesome Cougars over at Half Moon Bay High School. My name is Bianca DeBartolo Forrester, and I'm an education professional. Let's see, a little bit about me. I went to high school in Washington, D.C. My mom opened the first clinic for Latin American refugees, and I'm a fluent speaker of Spanish. Yo hablo el español. When I was young, nobody expected me to go to college, and it took me a really long time. I did a lot of interesting things, like live in Spain and model and work in a whole bunch of different industries, like a coffee shop as a barista. And then I transferred to UC Berkeley from San Francisco City Community College, which is a great way to go. And got my degree and volunteered in a classroom in East Oakland, and from there I became a teacher, which I loved. I absolutely love getting to work with young people and kids. I feel that education is the civil rights issue of our time, and I am so grateful to be an educator. So I have my friend here with me who's going to ask me some of the questions for your career day situation. So here we go.
How would you describe your job's lifestyle, schedule, stress, travel, social interaction, work-life balance?
So, okay, when I was a teacher, I had a pretty chill lifestyle, not gonna lie. Like, it was okay. I enjoyed it super much, but I had, like, my weekends pretty clear, except for grading and preparing for the next week. And then I had lots of time off, which was amazing when my kids were little, because I got to spend a lot of time with them and I got to travel quite a bit. I went on to become a school principal, super stressful, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you do is stress and worry about the students under your care and your school and your community. And now I'm working in the district office at Cabrillo Unified and the Human Resources Department. And I would say that my job is super busy. I work spring break and all those times when your teachers and your leaders and stuff are maybe taking time off. But I actually really like it because I feel like the work that I do impacts you guys and your future, and I love it. So it's good work, it's interesting work, and I feel good about it.
What is the best way for a student interested in your job industry to start on their path? How do they begin?
I mean, honestly, I think the best way to start on your path, I mean, I'm always down. So if you ever want to like connect and come meet me and like just have coffee or have me come over to the high school and have a chit chat with you, I'm super happy to tell you all about that. And I think just like going to college and like taking some classes here and there and stuff that you're interested in and discovering. Volunteering is a great way. I was a volunteer in a bilingual ed classroom. That's what got me into education in the first place. And so, yeah, I think that about covers it.
Anything else that would be helpful for a high school student to know?
Don't give up. You guys are so young. Like, you guys think that, oh yeah, I got this and the world is this and all this. The world is so much bigger than this tiny little stretch of the planet that you guys are on. Although I do gotta say, Cabrillo is mad beautiful. I live up in Oakland right now, and I'm just amazed at what a beautiful, special community you guys have here. But don't think that you're defined by like the 4 blocks that you live in. Get out there and see the world. Take classes, push yourself, stay strong, persevere. And even when people think that you can't do it, don't act like that's okay. You just be like, no, I'm about to get mine. You can just step back and be focused on your future, because you are amazing. And the truth is that if you guys don't get involved, then the whole world's gonna go to pot. So we need you guys to like step up, become educators, become leaders. Heck, one of you guys at Half Moon Bay High School, one of you Cougars, you guys could be the next president of the United States. And who knows, you could be the first female president of the United States, or the first Latino male, or the first Latina female, or whatever. So it's all good.
How do you imagine your field industry will continue to evolve? What's coming down the pipe?
Well, I mean, I think in human resources and in education, there's all this technology innovation. And so like right now, my friends right here got my cell phone and we're taking this on the cell phone. And so for recruitment and retention, like getting out on social and like making sure that we're using all the social applications like Insta, and obviously you guys know all about Snapchat and TikTok and all that nonsense. I'm not super down with it. I do think that learning and education is a human construct, and so I think that while we're going to innovate, we also want to make sure that we're remembering to keep the human perspective there and keep the interactions. You know how it is in a class when you're like learning a lot because your friend over there tells you what the teacher was meaning, and then all of a sudden it makes sense and it starts to click? I think that's going to be something that's not going to change that much in my industry, or really any industry, because learning is a social construct.
How has bilingualism served you in your career?
Well, one of my, bilingualism has served me in my career in every way possible, because I was a Spanish teacher. Yo soy profesora de español, and it's such a joy to be able to help young people to appreciate and respect another culture, another people, another way of being. It has also really helped me, like right now in my current job, when I'm hiring people, I can interview in Spanish, I can hire people in Spanish, I can support people in Spanish, and that gives me a great sense of humility and gratitude.
What's one thing you wish you knew, understood, believed in high school?
Oh man, I wish that I had known that I was smart and capable and that I should go straight away to college and like really focus on my future, because I had a job as a barista. I was helping out my parents, and I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and it felt like the world was kind of a small place to me at that time. Like my neighborhood and where I was from was what it was about, and I wish that I had understood that it was so much more and there were so many options, and that probably the biggest thing holding me back was myself and my fear.
What helped you find direction when you were considering different
Mentorship.
careers?
Mentorship, straight up. Go, if you're interested in something, find that person who's doing that something, go and talk to them, ask them for their help and their advice and their support. 99.9% of the people out there love to share. They're generous, they want to help you out. Just don't be afraid to ask. Just ask for help at every step of the way, because it's there for the taking.
What are the most helpful things you did to prepare yourself for your career?
I think just be disciplined and have a good attitude and just stick with it. Like honestly, just like put in the time and the effort. I'm not gonna lie, like I took basic algebra 3 times in college before I passed it, and I went to the La Raza Recruitment and Retention Center where my friend Susie Santana worked at UC Berkeley, and I got tutoring help because math just wasn't my jam. And that's what helped me to become like what I am today. I didn't let the standardized test hold me back. I always found a way to persevere, and I really think that's a...
What are the international opportunities in your field?
So to be an educator, you can take that anywhere. And in most other countries, they pay educators way better than they do in the United States. And so also same thing for human resources. So there's tons of opportunity. I mean, honestly, there's opportunity in every field. Opportunity is really about attitude. It's your attitude that's going to make a difference. So roar on, you Cougars. Go out there, make a difference, because flat out, we need you. Because the world has become a weird place, and we need all of your bright, shining, amazing energy to make it so much better for everybody who's coming after you. Keep up the good work.
Hi, my name is Molly Rice, and I am a holistic small animal veterinarian, and I own my own practice in Pacifica. This is our backyard, and I'm here to tell you that I absolutely love my job. I have a great lifestyle. I have time for my family, and I rescue a lot of pets on my own, including many horses. And I love what I do. I help animals and people every day. Sometimes it can be stressful and hard things happen here at work, but for the most part, it's very gratifying. I work with a team of good people, and we do good and help a lot of animals every day. My education, I went to the University of California in San Diego for undergrad. After that, I spent a year working at the San Diego Zoo as a wild animal trainer. Then I went to vet school at UC Davis. After vet school, I worked for my mentor in Kauai in a holistic all creatures practice. So we saw all kinds of animals, and then I got certified in veterinary acupuncture, veterinary chiropractic, and herbal medicine. Now I use all those tools every day in my job here at this clinic. In terms of advice I could give you to get on a veterinary career path, I think you need to keep your grades up. That is what you need to get into vet school, but you also need diverse animal experience. So get involved with as many different animal activities as you can, mostly to see if you like it and to make sure it's a right fit for you, but vet school is also going to be looking at that on your application. And the way our practice is evolving, the way veterinary medicine is evolving, is that there aren't enough vets right now in the Bay Area. We need more veterinary nurses and we need more veterinarians. So I encourage you all to stick with it. It can seem really hard or impossible. I wish I knew how much I would love my job and how worth it was during all the hard times that I had to go through during college and vet school, and even during my early years of practice when I didn't totally know what I was doing. I had to ask friends and look stuff up. I still do that every single day. You have to keep learning. So I wish you all good luck, and I hope those of you that want to be vets, stick with it. It's totally worth it.
This is Terrell James. He came to see me today for a toenail growing into his pad and acupuncture for his chronic sinus infection. We already took the toenail out of his pad and cleaned it up. Now he's enjoying his acupuncture. This is JJ Rodriguez. She's here to have her leg checked after she got shockwave therapy for a knee injury. And we're also going to look at a tumor on her leg. So JJ has a little tumor on the inside of her paw, which I'm going to take a needle sample of and spray it on a microscope slide so I can look at it and see what it is. My assistant Daniela is going to hold JJ and make sure she doesn't bite me. So hopefully I'm just sucking some cells. I'm going to spray them onto the slide. And now I'll take that and look at it under the microscope. This is our treatment room, which is where we perform minor procedures or take blood from an animal.
And over here in the corner is our microscope. This is where I just looked at this slide of JJ's mass on her foot, and what I saw was red and white blood cells and no cancer cells. So that's good news for JJ's parents. It's probably a skin tag or a sebaceous epithelioma that has become infected. So now I'm going to do cryosurgery, which is basically freezing this little tumor on JJ's leg to help remove it. And after 9 days, this little thing should fall off and be done. This is a quick tour of my clinic. That is the front door where clients come in. This is our outdoor space where we're able to see clients and animals. And this is the back door that the staff goes in. This is our x-ray room. This is our treatment room. This is our lab where we have machines that can analyze blood. This is one of our exam rooms. And this is another exam room. Thanks for taking the time with me today, you guys. This is how I start and end every day, taking care of these guys. I rescued both of these horses almost 20 years ago. Felix on the right came from a racetrack, and Zephyr was going to be put down because of a growth problem. This is Tico. He was a beach dog in Costa Rica, dying of a parasite overload. Now they get to live with us this beautiful life. This is my home office, or my barn, and this is our latest addition. He's a 5-year-old Mustang we just rescued from the Bureau of Land Management in Nevada. And I finish off my day with a sunset ride with JJ and Zephyr.
Hello, my name is Bart Pantoja, and I am the business manager, secretary treasurer of the San Mateo County Building and Construction Trades Council. And today I'm here to talk to you about construction a little bit. So in this video, you'll see some footage from a project in San Mateo County near Oyster Point. And this is the beginning phases. It's actually not the very beginning because the steel is starting to go up. The concrete forms have already been poured. So before we got here, you had the operators, laborers, masons, millwrights, moving dirt, building the forms, pouring the concrete, and finishing the concrete. And then you had the ironworkers erecting the steel, laborers, carpenters, and maybe even some of the mechanical, which would be your plumbers and electricians, starting to get on the job. So when it comes to your surroundings, the reality is you're out in the weather. So if you don't mind getting up early, you will be getting up early. You know, a lot of people ask me if I was a morning person. Actually, I'm not. I really like sleep. I could sleep 8 or 9 hours. I usually got up in the morning for the money. Now from that steel structure, you end up with a finished product. Buildings nearby that have been completed by construction trades, as a matter of fact, union construction trades, wrapping up the final touches. Regardless of the trade you work in, you might find yourself operating heavy equipment, such as this forklift here to my left, or a boom lift here my right. This requires certification you'd get through your apprenticeship program or through your employer. What we have here is a nearly complete project. This guy here is they're pumping concrete using a truck with articulating arm and pump. That's where you have your operator, your laborers, your masons finishing that concrete. So you notice the stairs, the steel structure, the cranes. Your iron workers will have put in those stairs and all that steel, and then that's coated with a fireproofing by the fireproofers, plasterers, or other trades that might do work with different products. And that's some really cool glass. That's actually my industry that I came from, and one of the joys of life. So if you see this guy here, he's doing a little cleanup on the edge. I don't know if you can tell, but he actually has a fall arrest equipment on, a harness, and all that wood railing is for safety protection. And that yellow exterior, that's actually what they call dense glass. It's a fiberglass sheetrock for exterior use. Then it'll be covered up with some type of architectural finished product, maybe a Lucabon or aluminum paneling, or maybe even a type of opaque glass. So again, the glazers, which is my industry, would cover that up eventually. So if you see this guy here, he's doing a little cleanup on the edge. I don't know if you can tell, but he actually has a fall arrest equipment on, a harness, and all that wood railing is for safety protection. And that yellow exterior, that's actually what they call dense glass. It's a fiberglass sheetrock for exterior use. Then it'll be covered up with some type of architectural finished product, maybe a Lucabon or aluminum paneling, or maybe even a type of opaque glass. So again, the glazers, which is my industry, would cover that up eventually. You can see the concrete truck pulling away from that pump. They must have pumped all the concrete they needed. And there's actually worker in that lift there, the orange arm. Doing some work again on the exterior edge of the building. All right, so building trades, we build buildings. I have a hard time, I'm looking at the building in my camera here, and it's something that's pretty amazing to me. So let's get back to the office, and I'll answer a few of these questions. All right, we're back at the office. So, ultimately, a little bit about the construction lifestyle. Like I was talking about, you're going to get up early. A lot of job sites start at 6 a.m. I watched a lot of sunrises in my career. I worked as a glazer for, which is an architectural glass and metal worker, for 23 years in the field. The last 4 or 5 years I was a foreman and leadman on projects. I helped build hospitals. I worked at the airport. But in general, whether you're an electrician, plumber, carpenter, sheetrocker, as I mentioned, we have millwrights. There's also pile drivers. Those are the guys that drive basically make contact with granite in the foundation so that these buildings are built, to last lifetimes. You're, like I said, regardless of any of that, you're gonna have a lifestyle as a union construction worker. The idea is that you're gonna make enough money to support your family and have a little extra to go to the movies, but to dinner once in a while. I got into the trade because I saw family members of mine who were sheet metal workers. That's one other trade I didn't mention. They do duct work, which HVAC, but they also do some architectural work, stainless steel handrail, basically steel that doesn't tarnish. He owned a home. He would take me to the movies as a kid. He had a boat. So those are the extras in life. You can do all these things by just having willingness to show up and work 8 hours. And if you work more than 8 hours, you're paid more. The trades believe that that time away from your family is valuable. So you don't just get straight time for overtime, you get usually time and a half or sometimes double time, because our family time is important. That's one thing about organized labor, that we all stand behind each other in that. Every trade has a different contract. They make different wages, but you can consider most apprentices start above minimum wage, generally around $20, sometimes more per hour. And then on top of that, you would have health care that would not come out of pocket. Your employer would pay that on your behalf. And you start putting away into a pension for retirement. The trades, the scale is wide. Some, as a journeyman, will get around anywhere from mid to high 40s per hour up to $60, sometimes $70 per hour, depending on the industry you choose. As a foreman in my industry, I was making over $60 an hour. But, that comes with a lot of headaches. It comes with a lot of responsibility. Coordinating, organizing, having social skills, having emotional intelligence, being able to inspire and motivate others, collaborate and coordinate with others is key for those leadership positions. But ultimately, for you coming out of high school, the best thing for me coming out of high school was that I got into a trade. I got into a construction trade, and it served me well. I've raised a family. I bought a home in my early years. My children now are doing really well. They've had health care their whole childhood into adulthood. So as far as work-and-life balance, like I said, 40 hours a week is standard. When the industry is moving a lot, you're going to be working more than that, and you'll be paid well for it. But believe me, there comes a time where you're tired of working more than 8 hours a day, 10-hour days, 12-hour days. They are taxing. So as a journeyman, when I reached journeyman status, I was very content with 40 hours a week. As far as whether or not to know if you're interested, well, there's a couple of things. For me, I didn't want to be inside anymore. In school, I actually liked a lot of things about school, but I was more often than not staring out the window. But I did enjoy all the different things I learned and all my classes. I just wasn't someone that wanted to sit inside anymore. Didn't see myself sitting at a desk as a career, although I sit at one now. What I had in my benefit, so when I went to school, we had this great thing. It was a good time. There was like enough left over from prior years as far as vocational information that I was actually looking at career information from 10 or 12 years before, I even got into my middle school. Actually, I discovered this in middle school. We had a career center in the library, and there was a survey, and I would take the survey, and the survey recommended some vocations. And the jobs it recommended for me, because of how I answered the questions, were park ranger, military, police force, being a fireman, or construction. And I chose construction. Sometimes I really, really think about what it'd be like to be a park ranger, because I think that'd be kind of cool. But aside from that, this it was more than a job. This has been a career that's provided for me I started my apprenticeship in 1996. I actually graduated in 94. So I actually had a couple of years there where I floundered a bit. Actually, I got into construction, but I hadn't joined the union yet. So as a career path, if you can get into a union, whatever you decide to do, if there's a union for it, I say join it. It's going to give you the best opportunity to make fair and livable wages, and again, have health care and a retirement to hopefully retire with dignity. I know right now you're not thinking about that, but give it 3 or 4 years of getting up in the morning and dragging yourself to work. You're going to want to someday not do that anymore and be able to get up whenever you want, not have to worry about where your money's coming from. It's a small dream I have to reach that point someday. I have uncles that have retired and they're living happy lives, and they call me out every now and again and ask me how work is, and they're glad they're not having to work for a living anymore. So I hope my little snapshots of a few projects are helpful. Here at the San Mateo County Building Trades Council, we also have a program for apprenticeship training or apprenticeship readiness. It's called the Trades Introduction Program. I'll send a flyer to your teachers to hand out. So that's another way that you can look at what the trades have to offer. And what's great about that course, it's actually a course that if you can get into that course, you get exposed to all the different trades. You get to see what everybody does, and you can make a more informed decision on what you may want to do. And here's the other thing I would tell you. Whatever you decide, it's not forever. If you get into being a laborer, which I gotta say, laborers probably they make the least amount of all the trades, but they make good money. They're on the job the most. They're on from the beginning to end. They get a lot of hours. And I know some laborers that are retired. They bought their homes and are retired and living again that same dream. So, but if you decide to start there or anywhere and you go, you know what, I really don't like this, if you make that decision early, that's okay. A few months in, I don't like this, try something different. But if you got a couple of years into an apprenticeship, I say stick it out, because you've invested in time and a company or a contractor has invested in you because they're training you. One thing again I would say is that you earn while you learn. So this is the other 4-year degree. People go to college, they pay for schooling, pay for their education, and sometimes end up with loans and debt. With the apprenticeship program, with an apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn. The day you start your apprenticeship is the day you have a job in a trade, in an industry, and you are paid. Nobody works for free in the union, and you make a lesser rate because the employer's getting someone who can't do as much as a journeyman. So you're in training, so they get you at a discounted rate. But the idea is that as you learn, you get paid more. And almost all of our apprenticeship programs, you get a wage increase every 6 months, as long as you're a good employee and you're employable, and you do all your classes for your apprenticeship. And each union's different. Some do night classes, some do 1 week of school per 3 months. So it depends on which trade you pick. And again, they're all different. There's 24 different unions in this Building Trades Council that you could investigate. I'll do my best to get a lot of those websites to your teacher to pass on to you. So again, I hope this helps with your decisions. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to our TIP program or even my office, and I can direct you to the union you like. But again, most of it you can Google. Again, like I said, there's a lot of different trades. I mean, I mentioned pile drivers. You have your carpenters do as some of those buildings that I showed you. Your electrical work is done, your plumbing, your stud framing, which the carpenters do, your sheetrock hanging, what the carpenters do, drywall finishing, which is the mud and taping on those walls to finish them, and that's what your painters union would do. You paint, painters union is a great one. Floors, we didn't even talk about the interior finished floors. Those are finished crafts. There's a roofers union. There's a lathers union, which does like stucco and lathing, plaster. There's just so much to choose from. Oh, one thing I definitely want to emphasize is that one thing we are missing in our trades, in all the trades, is more women. I just want to let you know that women do this too, and it's a great opportunity for any person who thinks they want to do something different. It's a great opportunity to make good money. Your hands are going to get dirty, maybe a little chapped, but I mentioned in one of those videos, we have a lot of safety here in California, and especially the Bay Area, and especially union contractors. Safety is number one. We don't want anybody to go home hurt. We want everybody to have a long and lustrous career. So women, if you're interested, or you think you might be interested, do a little research, check it out. There's a lot of opportunity for women. A lot of projects need more women and have requirements to get more women in the trade. So you might even have an opportunity to get your foot in the door even more. And one last thing, actually, the idea that it's you have to know somebody to get in the union is an old idea. There are some unions that have a long list of people who are trying to become get into that trade. In that case, there might be a waiting list, but it's just a matter of that's their process. But some of the other trades, there's no waiting list. They're looking for people right now. There's a lot of work coming down the pipeline, a lot of infrastructure money. President Biden and Nancy Pelosi and our representatives here in the Bay Area pushed hard to get an infrastructure bill, to get money, pumped into airports, highways, water facilities, water tanks, all these things that all of our industry, all the construction industries have a part in and will benefit from the updating, renovation, or building new of all these structures. So there's a lot of opportunity coming down. You're getting out of high school. Like I said, the survey said, military. I thought maybe I would join the military, but I considered before I committed myself to 4 to 6 years of belonging to the government. I looked into construction as an option. And I actually passed that on to my son. I recommended he do the same before. And again, I considered joining the service, and I think if you choose to do that, that's good too. A lot of people come out of the service and then join the trades, but you can skip the middleman and join the trades now. So with that, I'll close out my video. I hope this is you learned something, and again, I look forward to you investigating a career in the building trades.
Hi, my name is Anita, and I'm a tattoo artist. I got my start in kind of an unusual way. I did go to art school for college, and I studied fine art oil painting. And even though I really enjoyed tattoos and I got my first one when I was in my first year of college, I didn't ever really think of it at that time as a career option for myself. So when I graduated, it was 2008, which was the recession, and I ended up finding jobs outside of the arts so that I could stay in San Francisco. And I was a barista, I worked as a barback, I also taught art to kids for a couple of years, but my main job was as a barista, and from that job I worked my way up through management roles and into corporate office for them in supply chain, and I eventually transitioned that into a supply chain management role at another company, which was a multi-unit restaurant chain based in San Francisco. And what I'm finding now, as I am about 4 years into my tattoo career, is that it is kind of the perfect path for me, and it kind of wouldn't be such a great fit if I hadn't already gone through the things that I had gone through the 10 years prior, where I worked in customer service. There's a big customer service element to tattooing. It's not just about making art. You are working with clients and you are often collaborating with them. Email communication, administration, all of that stuff is actually really important too, because you're essentially running a small business. So in total, I worked probably about 10 years outside of the arts before I found my way back into it via tattooing. And I had sort of an unusual entry into tattooing. A lot of artists, when they are starting out and looking for an apprenticeship, because tattooing is one of the few apprenticeship trades that doesn't have an accredited school that's associated with it, really. So you do have to go out and basically court a mentor or a shop that will teach you how to tattoo. So that entails submitting your portfolio to multiple places, often getting rejected from multiple places, and it's really tough. But I got lucky. My tattoo artist actually asked me if I was interested in tattooing. So if this is a career that might interest you, I definitely recommend drawing a ton. Your portfolio is going to be the thing that sells you as a potential apprentice to a mentor or shop, and be prepared to be very self-motivated, because you are going to be running your own individual business. So I had sort of an unconventional entry into tattooing, where I was getting tattooed by an artist, and I had built this sort of friendship with him, and he ended up offering me an apprenticeship. He asked me one day, as I was mildly complaining about my corporate job, would I ever be a tattoo artist?
And actually, initially, I said no because it was terrifying to work on skin, which is so much more like personal and permanent than working on canvas, which is what I was doing before. And he eventually just convinced me, and he offered to teach me how to tattoo. So typically as a tattoo artist, you would work in a shop as an independent contractor of sorts, where you pay rent to the shop to rent your space that you're using, and you operate as a small business within another business of the shop. So as a small business, you get to make your own hours, and there's a lot of flexibility. There's also the option to travel and guest at other shops if they'll have you. You can even travel internationally and work in other places. So tattooing is actually a lot of work that you don't really see. The drawing and the tattooing is really just the tip of the iceberg. So with all that back end stuff, I'm working the hardest that I have in my entire life, because I am essentially running a small business, and it's just me. I'm the only one. So I do all my emails, I do all of my accounting, I do all of my organization and calendars and all of that.
My career journey started on my freshman year of high school. I was introduced to a woman who did a lot of volunteer work for the co-site. That volunteer work included helping out on Wednesday evenings for a healthcare clinic, and also once a year at a dental mobile clinic. By then, I knew that working with the public was something that brought me joy and made me happy. After graduating Half Moon Bay High School, I enrolled into the dental assisting program at CSM. During that time, I also worked on getting my general education completed. After completing the program, I was able to take my state license test, which would give me the opportunity to become a registered dental assistant by the state of California. By becoming a registered dental assistant by the state of California gives you more opportunities in the dental field to do more treatments on patients without the direct supervision of the dentist. My typical day at the office as a head assistant is normally I arrive before everyone does. And this is to prepare for the day, to prepare the patient's rooms, the patient's charts, and what we're going to do throughout the day. My main focus is the patient safety and comfort throughout the procedure. This type of career fits well with a person who loves taking care of others, who is patient and is teamwork oriented, and is also good working under stress on occasions.
I don't know where the camera is. So, you want to be a stand-up comedian? You're going to need a particular set of tools. That's it. That's all you need, really. Wait, I'm lying. You're also going to need a pen, a paper. Maybe, you know what those things are? Probably not, because this is a new generation. You're also going to need what everybody in the world knows. A computer. So you're going to have to learn a little bit about computers. You're going to have to learn a little bit about speaking the language in which you want to speak. You're going to have to know a little bit about the people around you. Or maybe a lot about the people around you. And you're going to have to know a little bit about what it is that creates a passion. Now, if you look behind me, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of animals. These are things I talk about when I'm on stage. And I want people to be interested in those very things. If they aren't interested in those very things, then they're probably not going to like me as a comedian. But who couldn't like me? Okay, lots of people, shut up. So, the other thing that I discovered in doing stand-up comedy is that I, Kathy B., who I didn't introduce myself earlier, can also do radio. I've done radio and voice work for video games, for motion pictures, for movies, for television, for even your grandma's funeral. Seriously, I did a voiceover for a funeral. And they wanted it to be funny. How do you make grandma's death funny? Well, I did. So you're going to find yourself in different situations where you're going to have to learn how to interact with people. Or maybe that's your comedy shtick. You can't interact with people. Start viewing other people online. Start viewing comedians online. Start hearing how they talk. Listen to the cadence of every single word, because how people say things is just as important as what people say. You want to do something fun when you get out of school? I'm going to tell you something nobody else is ever going to tell you. Don't pick one job. You won't be happy. If you only decide from the day you're born, I am going to be a carpet eater. I am going to make shoes with my teeth. Those are jobs you probably are going to be the only person who enjoys, but nobody's going to pay you for it. So you might end up finding yourself editing your life a little bit, and that's okay. You're allowed to screw up. That's the biggest secret about being a grown-up. We screw up all of the time, and then we learn from it. So that's your job. You are at the age where screwing up is aces. You could do it every day of your life, and if you do it the best, you'll probably learn something the most. That's all I gotta say about that. I hope you have fun, because if you're not having fun, you're not doing the right thing for yourself.
The Abundant Grace Coastside Worker was started in 2015 to try to meet the basic needs of people experiencing homelessness. Hi, my name is Eric DeBartolo. I'm at Abundant Grace, and I just want to encourage all of you wonderful young people to find what really moves you in the world and be passionate and generous with yourself. I know in my life, ever since I was young, I wanted to work with people who are experiencing homelessness. And I've been able to do that largely in my life. And in the last 10 years, it's just been such an extraordinary journey to create something like the Abundant Grace Coastside Worker, to employ people, to work with folks who are trying to get sober, to get healthy, to find housing, and to find work. I love being a part of making the world better, helping people in their own journeys. It makes me feel really happy. And I wish for you that same kind of happiness, that you search for what it is that you really want to do in your heart and follow that. After interviewing several people experiencing homelessness, we learned that what people wanted most was a place where they could have showers, laundry, food, mail, computers, and a place to meet to go to work. At Abundant Grace, our mission is to transform lives through meaningful work. So all of our work programming is connected to making the world a better place. We work at Portrait Nuevo Farm, and we raise 20,000 pounds of produce and give it away for free to low-income families. We also do the Coastside Clean Team, where we improve the environment, cleaning the beaches and trails of Half Moon Bay. It's great work, it's meaningful, it's purposeful, and I wish that same thing for you. Hi, my name is Eric DeBartolo, and I work at Abundant Grace Coastside Worker. For me, getting involved in this kind of work with the homeless community started when I was about 18. I was very moved by the realities of poverty and suffering that I saw, and I wanted to do something about it. And I know, I think as I grow older, I realize that all of us have those kinds of values that move us to want to do something to help others in the world. And there are a lot of issues to work on. There's plenty of pain and suffering and struggle and important things that we need to do as a community. And so for me, I landed on the issue of homelessness. I studied political science in college. I took a lot of history and literature and art and lots of things that I was interested in, and I really enjoyed it. What I've come to see is that my early years were kind of like an experiment. I think I saw myself as placing myself in situations where I would learn about these kinds of issues that were social justice issues. And I experimented also by meeting people who did that kind of work. I would pick their brain and ask them all kinds of questions to learn, what it was like. And then I started getting jobs doing this kind of work, and I love it. And I encourage you to follow your heart's passion and desire and find out what you really value, and dig in and try to experiment with it and learn if it's the right fit for you and pursue it, because I really think that human beings are at our happiest and most fulfilled when we're making our values real in the world, when we're engaging what we really care about. So that's what I hope for you as you think about your career.
Hello, my name is Heidi Arkling, and I am shooting live from A9, my classroom, at Half Moon Bay High. Behind me you can see the novels that I have written, starting with C, my debut novel. The paperback version is Where I Found You, and the sequel is Where the Sea Takes Me. Paint My Body Red is next to that one. And above, we have the foreign translations. One is German, one is Turkish, and some anthologies of short stories. They're propped up because I just did an exit interview for another student. He was interviewing me about the creative process. So I have been writing since I was a very young girl. I started out writing songs and poems. I got my first novel published in 2010. I majored in creative writing in college, literature actually, with an emphasis of creative writing. And I got my MFA in creative writing from the New School in New York. So if you look behind me, you can see Paint My Body Red is the American version, and Under den Witzenlitz, I don't know what that says, but that is the foreign translation. And the German publisher actually changed the title of the book to Under the Wide Blue Sky with You, which I think is so sweet. And Denny's right there is actually translated in Bahasa Indonesian to sea. And what I would do, this is my classroom. So this is where I am a long-term sub for 9th graders. I'm having a great time. We are learning Romeo and Juliet and breaking it down and doing a bunch of creative projects as well. Here are some shots of my novel. There's my debut novel with Penguin called C. It's inspired by true events. And some of my other books. There's the paperback of C called Where I Found You, and its sequel, Where the Sea Takes Me. All of these are available. Paint My Body Red. And these are actually anthologies that I've contributed short stories to. Various short stories. This is an anthology that Mr. Mullen's class and the Creative Writing Club put out. It's called The Muse. And I keep this out to inspire the students. And there's also a Creative Writing Club here on campus on Thursdays. These are the bookshelves in A9 that I rearranged to encourage students to read. If you want to write, read a lot. Hello. So now I am filming live from Palo Alto near Stanford campus. And this is a shopping center where I spent a lot of time writing my books in cafes. There's a Pete's over there. I'd bring my laptop in and my headphones. And then there's a French cafe, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay? So some writers have offices. I do have a desk at home. But also most of the writers I know who write books, novelists, spend a lot of time in cafes. So this is the place where I wrote several of my books. I'm gonna go in there right now. I'll show you.
Hello, my name is Jason Long. I'm currently a principal scientist at Oric Pharmaceuticals in South San Francisco. ORIC stands for Overcoming Resistance in Cancer, and so every day our team fights to develop new molecules to destroy human cancers in the body. My journey started in high school when one of our high school science teachers in Chicago told me about backward sugar, which is essentially the same thing as normal sugar, but produced in a chiral version. So it's the opposite chirality as normal sugar. And essentially it tastes like sugar, but it doesn't get absorbed by your body as sugar. And so it goes through your body quickly. And I thought it was very interesting that scientists could develop chemicals like this. And that kind of sparked my journey towards the scientific career path that I have now. I graduated from high school and then ended up going to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I received my Bachelor's of Science degree in biochemistry in 4 years. And then after those 4 years, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I had a girlfriend at the time who was moving on to the National Institutes of Health to work as a research scientist there. And so I decided to do the same thing because I wanted to be with her, and I was also interested in science. So I moved out to Washington, D.C. to become a research scientist in a lab at the National Institutes of Health and worked there for 2 years. And there I met people from all over the world who came to do research at the National Institutes of Health. And that kind of sparked my interest to maybe progress my career a little further. And so I applied for graduate schools to get my PhD. And so I applied to a bunch of schools, but I kind of knew I wanted to come to California. And so I was accepted at the University of California, San Francisco, and proceeded to get my PhD there in developmental neuroscience. After getting my PhD, I decided to do further training, which is called a postdoc. And I did a postdoc for another couple of years. And after the postdoc, it's kind of, I guess, the normal trajectory is to try and become a professor at a university. But during my career, the biotech industry has slowly exploded. And so there were a lot more opportunities for me to explore other than just becoming a professor at a university. And so I had a friend who worked at Genentech, and she said she had an opening in the group that she worked with. And so I applied for that, and I got that position to essentially study the beginnings of my career that I have now, which is running clinical trials, but clinical trials in mice. So we use mice as a model system to be able to understand whether the drugs we're developing are actually helping cure the cancer or hurt the animal. And so my career at Genentech lasted 13 years, and then I decided to leave and follow my former boss to a new company, Oric, and there I've been for a year. And it's been a great company. So Genentech was a company of about 15,000 people, so a very large company. And Oric is a company of about 75 people. So it's a vast difference, but it really feels like a family. And that makes the work just so much more fun because you really care about what you're doing, first off. And then you care about the people that you work with. You're just not a cog in a big machine. So that feels nice. The lifestyle of somebody with my career is, I think, quite good. I am not required to go in at 9 o'clock, and the job doesn't always end at 5 o'clock. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of scheduling. So if I have to take care of my son or if I have to go to the doctor, there's a lot of leeway for me to work around that. Because the experiments we run sometimes have stopping points where we can stop and do something else. Or sometimes they run really long and you're working from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. So there's a lot of variety in terms of the hours, but for me personally, I feel like It's a great career because I feel like I'm trying to do something to help people and people that are suffering. And so by developing these drugs, we're prolonging their lives, which allows them to spend more time with their children or their parents. And that is really rewarding. We have people that come to our company and tell us they took our drugs and tell us their story about how the drugs have impacted them. And those stories are so powerful to hear. And it makes you realize when you're working those like 12 or 16-hour days that you're doing it for a reason and you're really helping people. Working in the science field, the internships are a great opportunity for a student to begin to start to understand how the science works. There are both paid and unpaid internships at universities and at companies. So that's a very good way for a high school student and it's most likely a college student, to get into the field and understand how it works. Because science is so universal, there are so many opportunities to meet and work with people from other countries, different nationalities, and for you, if you care to go work in a different country and learn the language there and learn the culture there, but while doing science. So I think his career in science is going to be a fruitful career for a long time. We know so little about the human body, and as great as the advances we've made in the last 30 years that I've been doing science, we still know just a drop in the bucket compared to what we need to know to be able to combat cancer, or to understand how your thoughts work, or how the brain functions completely, to remember the smell you smelled when you were 3 years old in your grandma's kitchen, or looking at a sunset reminding you of another time. So I think that science is a great career in that sense, and that there'll always be opportunities going forward because it's going to take a long time to understand science. And if you're in the science field, you can adapt and learn new techniques as you go along. So it's not a career that is a dead end, I feel like, as long as you're willing and open to learn. And I think that's the biggest thing to think is, or to remember, is that you're always a student, even though you're out of school and in a career that you've worked in for a long time. I'm always learning new things.
Hello, I'm Jeff Bassini with San Mateo County Public Works. We're here today to talk a little bit about San Mateo County Public Works and my journey as a road maintenance manager. I started back 35 years ago as a entry-level position, which is a road maintenance worker 1. I was then able to promote to a road maintenance worker 2, and eventually to a supervisor, and then ultimately to the county road manager. This is something that's very achievable with just a high school education, if that's something in the career path that you choose to go with. This is why today we want to talk to you about public works and your career here at San Mateo County Public Works. You guys may have seen us out on the roads. We're within your local town. We do a lot of road maintenance, covering a lot of district up and down the peninsula, from Montero, Moss Beach, El Granada, all the way down to Pescadero and into La Honda. So these are coastal areas that you guys are all aware of, that we maintain on a daily basis. We have 315 miles that we maintain on a daily basis. We have 3 yards, one in Princeton, one in La Honda, and one in Pescadero. What we do is we do road maintenance on a daily basis. So the roads that you drive on, we maintain, from pothole repairs to mowing the grasses, to weed whacking, to trimming trees, to anything and everything that pertains to the roads that you drive on. We maintain those every single day. We work a 4-10 schedule, so we work 4 days a week, 10-hour days. We work, obviously, 365 days a year. We work during storm events. We work overtime on nights and things like that. We are what you call an essential worker. And we're out there when other people aren't out there during the rainy season and so on and so forth, but we have to because our road structure is very important. We have to keep it up. One of the statistics that we've came up with is that a large percentage of our employees come from your high school, Half Moon Bay High School. That's why we're making this recruiting video, because we want to put it out there and let you guys know that a lot of you guys are ended up becoming road maintenance workers at Public Works. If you're interested in a San Mateo County Public Works job or any San Mateo County job, you can certainly go to our website, San Mateo County Public Works, or you can go smcgov.org and you can apply online. You can see what we do, and if you're not interested in Public Works, and maybe you want to be in the Parks Department or one of the other departments, there's certainly jobs and career paths that can take you down that way, and those are all on our website, and you can check that out at smcgov.org. In closing, we talked about essential workers, and that's what we are as road maintenance workers here at San Mateo County. You know, yes, there's police officers and fire and ambulances, but if they don't have a road that is open and a good road to drive on, they can't do their job. So our job as essential workers to make sure that road is open. So whether you want to be a road maintenance worker one, or a truck driver, or possibly even drive a loader like this, this is why we want you. We want you to apply for San Mateo County Public Works. If you have any experience or no experience, we don't care. Apply for this job. This is a great job. It's a great career. You get to live and work in the community that you grew up in, and that's the beauty of this job. Thank you.
I'm Joel. I graduated Half Moon Bay High School in 2009. Now I'm a pilot at a major U.S. airline. I'm excited to tell you about my journey getting to where I'm at in my career. I graduated college in 2013 and got my 4-year degree in environmental science. I then worked in the environmental field while I paid my way through flight training. After working as a flight instructor and also flying private jets, I had enough experience to go on to an airline job, and I worked for a small airline out of San Francisco. For 2 years, I worked as a first officer, or as a co-pilot, and then I became a captain after that for 3 years, where I flew as a captain out of Chicago and San Francisco. During my pilot training, I earned multiple certificates. One of those included was the instructor certificate. Once I earned that, I became a full-time flight instructor and did that for about 1 year. The job of an airline pilot can be stressful. We're carrying hundreds of people at any given time, maybe flying in challenging weather conditions or with technical malfunctions. However, your pilot training teaches you to be calm and make good, well thought out, safe decisions to get everyone to their destination safely. After working as a flight instructor, I flew small private jets for several months and gained more experience as I worked my way towards the airlines. After working at the smaller airlines for 5 years, both as a first officer and as a captain, I had enough experience and qualifications to move on to my dream airline, where I'm now working as a first officer on the Boeing 757 and 767. The schedule of an airline pilot has me usually working between 2 to 4 days on the road and then having another 2 to 4 days off after that. From a social perspective as an airline pilot, I do have a lot of interaction throughout the day. Be working with any number of 1, 2, or 3 additional pilots in the flight deck, as well as our flight attendants, gate agents, dispatchers, who are people who help us plan the flights, and mechanics when things go wrong with the aircraft. So there's a lot of social interaction on any given day as an airline pilot. There's multiple ways to become an airline pilot and to get your pilot training. You might go to a small flight school, or you might go to a very big aviation college. Additionally, you could also join the military and get your flight training and your experience as an aviator there. As an airline pilot, I do have a pretty good work-life balance. On most days, I'm able to leave work back at the airport, and then while I'm home, dedicate my time to my family, my friends, and my community, as well as a little bit of time to myself, doing some hobbies. If you're interested in becoming a pilot, I do suggest you head down to the local airport, whether it's Half Moon Bay, where there's a flying club that does offer flight lessons, or you might head over to San Carlos or Palo Alto, where there's multiple flight schools that can give you an introductory flight lesson and see if you really like flight training. Overall, I do suggest pursuing a career in aviation, particularly as a pilot. I get to travel all over the world. I really love what I do, and my desk has a pretty good view.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Kate, and I am a truck driver, and I am here to enlighten you about the glories of truck driving. I've been doing it since 2013, and I went driving truck because I was in a transition in my life. I was moving from Seattle back to California after 22 years, and I had nothing tying me down, and I said, I'm gonna go across the country and see the country and get paid for it. And so I stayed up and watched videos on trucking and what it would be like, and I said to myself, that's for me. And so I went ahead and I went to truck driving school down in Redlands, California. I went through the CR England truck driving school, which I may or may not recommend. There are many others. Part of the deal with some of these bigger companies is that if you go through their training and they put you through the CDL and you get your CDL through them, they want a year commitment. And that's probably the most affordable way to go about it. But back in 2013, it was probably roughly around $6,000 or $7,000. Pretty cheap investment when it comes to like having a full-on career. And anyway, so I went over the road and I had plenty of wonderful adventures, and I'm so happy that I was over the road and did that. And I'm still truck driving, but now I'm local. It's not nearly as fun, but it's lucrative. And anyway, I wanted to show you some pictures of me when I was on the road with a really great company called Central Oregon Trucking, who I totally recommend. It's a flatbed company, and I've pretty much done all types of trucking. If you do decide to get into this, I recommend getting all of your endorsements and just exploring all your ideas. Yeah, so another thing about trucking is the first year is pretty rough. At least it was back when I was doing it. I think things have probably gotten a little bit better. There was probably a period of 2 decades when truck drivers were not getting treated so well, and they didn't really get much of a raise relative to inflation, and that's why there's a truck shortage. It's not for any other reason. It's not because people are retiring. It's because people, and that's why there's a truck shortage. It's not for any other reason. It's not because people are retiring. It's because people were getting out. So now things are changing, and truckers are kind of in the catbird seat. There's lots of opportunities. You can go and get your own authority if you want to do that after having a little experience and learning how freight works, so that if you send yourself to Chicago, that you'll make sure you have stuff to come back home with, so you're not running empty miles. Let's see. I just want to say that it has just been the adventure of my lifetime. Before I went on the truck, I think I'd been to 4 states, and now I've been to every state, maybe 10 or 15 times. I don't know. I've driven well over 1 million miles. No tickets or accidents. So best advice for you that I have is there's always a time to speed up. There's always a time to slow down. Enjoy the ride and take your time. So anyway, best of luck with you, and I hope I gave you a little bit of peace of mind if you're wanting to go down that road. Okay, take care.
Hi, I'm Chris Nations, founder, CEO, and designer of Chris Nations Jewelry. I started my company in 2002. When I started my company, I also worked a full-time job at an ad agency in San Francisco. What started my business was really a hobby. I enjoyed beading and making jewelry from my apartment, literally my coffee table in my apartment in San Francisco in my early 20s. I had accumulated so many things that I decided I needed to start selling it because it was getting kind of crazy. You can only wear so much jewelry or give it away as gifts to friends, so I started selling it. So I approached small boutiques in all the different neighborhoods in San Francisco, and I would work with them on a consignment basis, which means I would bring the jewelry to the store, they would sell it, and then 30 days later, I would collect payment for the jewelry that was sold, and I would pick up jewelry that didn't sell, and I would leave more jewelry. And through that process, I was able to see what was popular, what was selling more, and that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of learning involved in that process itself. And I think I got to about maybe 10 stores that I was working with in that way before I was able to comfortably quit my other job. My job at that time, my day job, was doing production artwork for an advertising agency. So I would create small little GIFs and JPEGs and that type of thing for our clients, which were Microsoft and Visa. So that's kind of what started. I realized I was enjoying the jewelry making and selling more than I was enjoying working in an advertising agency. The great thing about working in an advertising agency is that I met so many good friends in my early 20s in San Francisco. It was such a fun time in my life looking back, and I am still friends with all of those people that I met in that job. There were a few office type jobs I had prior to even working in an ad agency, prior to starting my own business, right out of college. I graduated with a degree, a double degree in finance and in Spanish. So I think my story is a good example of you don't have to figure out what you want to do with your entire life at the age of 17 or 18 when you graduate from high school and are trying to decide a major. I think for me, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I decided to just do business because to get a degree in business with a focus on finance, because I figured I don't know what I'm doing. At some point, I'm sure this business degree will do something. The Spanish came in because I already had a really good base of Spanish, and then I went and studied abroad in Spain for a semester and had accumulated so many credits that I was able to turn that into a second major. So the great thing about having graduated in 4 years and kind of knocking it out was when I graduated, it was pretty easy to get a job. I also wasn't picky. I just knew I needed to pay rent in San Francisco. So I went downtown San Francisco. I applied to a temp job, and they sent me to different offices almost every week. I would be in a different office environment, and I look back on that experience and realize, wow, that was really valid experience, because I got to see firsthand what it was like to be in all these different office environments, from finance to law offices to I worked at AT&T, and then what I settled on and ended up actually working was at an advertising agency. And I just liked the more creative atmosphere in that agency at that time, or in that office at the time. Everyone was like my age, young. So it was super fun. It felt like an extension of college, honestly. And we kind of all grew up together. We, hung out socially together. We worked together, and it was a really fun time. And so all of these little jobs that I've had though over those early years, now looking back, were all very valid experiences, and definitely helped me with the company that I've been able to create. So once I had about 10 stores carrying Chris Nation's jewelry and selling on a consistent basis, I felt confident to leave my day job at the ad agency. I always just felt like if this whole jewelry thing doesn't work out, I can always just go get another job. But I just decided to go for it. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of people out there doing what I was doing as an independent jewelry designer, because there wasn't, Etsy didn't even exist at that time. The internet was just kind of getting started. There wasn't, people having websites, but it was the kind of the very beginning of all of that retail boom online. And my sister joined me at that time, and she actually built a website, and we were able to get a fully functioning web store going in 2002. And after getting some press and some magazines and some different online e-newsletters and that type of thing, we were actually able to build our little website up pretty well. And in 2006, my sister quit her day job at another ad agency, a PR firm type of place, and she joined me full time. So Kim, I guess my sister, who's now my partner, her and I were doing everything, and we were very DIY by nature. We did all of our own photography. We did all, Kim built the website. I made all the jewelry. I did all of the accounting. So between the two of us, the skills that we each had was a really good combination to create this small business. And fast forward to 2022, we now have a sales team, 3 women who approach stores for us all over the country, even some abroad. We have a website that is pretty consistent at this point for sales. We still do a lot of our own marketing. We send out, emails every week, and of course doing some of the Facebook, Instagram ads and all of those kinds of things. And we have 12 employees at the moment, and then Kim and I too. So, and that took 20 years to build. To answer some of the questions about lifestyle and schedule and stress and travel, social interaction, work-life balance. Now that I am a mom, I have my 12-year-old daughter at Cunha. I have my 4th grade son at Hatch. Now that I'm where I'm at now, and I have a team of women who are helping with the business and working in the business, that has been helpful. That I'm not hustling as hard as I was in my 20s and my 30s, which has been nice. I feel like I did my future self a favor by kind of having a business that was already at a certain level before I became a mom, because once I decided to become a mom, that absolutely took priority over the business. But it was so that the best part of my business now, I think, is having the time, freedom, and flexibility to be a mom, but also run this business. That is by far the best thing that I could have done for myself. I think when you get to a certain point in your life, whether you decide to become a parent or not, you just don't want to have that hustle, constant hustle. I feel like I did that in my 20s and my 30s. I had the time, I had the energy, and I think as you get older, you just don't have that time that you once had. So that has been the best thing, is creating that space, creating time and flexibility and work schedule and all those things for myself now. If you were to start now in wanting to be a jewelry designer or fashion designer or some kind of creative job, I would first of all work on the craft itself. Go make the jewelry, go make the clothes, or go do the art. Actually do make the stuff, because you want to develop your style, right? And then another thing you could do is at some point go work, go get an internship for an artist or a jewelry maker or fashion designer. Go take sketching classes, go learn what is the process of, making a piece of jewelry? What kind of jewelry are you gonna make? What is that process? What kind of clothing are you gonna make, or apparel or art or whatever it is? And just, immerse yourself in the process, meet other people who are already doing that thing. There's so many resources nowadays that didn't even exist when I started. So I think that in some ways that you could just go and find people, contact them, ask for internships, work for free even, although it would be nice to get paid, but I think the beauty of being young is you have time, you have time to explore all of these things, and you have time on your side. And I think it's important to remember that you don't have to commit to just one thing at such a young age, not get so in your head about choosing what that thing is so early on, because you'll find that over the years your interests will change and your passions will change. And I think if you just move forward, if you're just constantly moving forward, you are going to find your thing. And everything you do along the way is going to be a valid experience and a worthwhile experiences. If you hear drums in the background, it's because my 9-year-old just got a new drum kit, and so I'm just gonna keep moving here. I think the way my industry and all retail industry is probably changing is with this whole Web3 talk. I do think that this NFTs that everyone is talking about, that's based like a complete foreign language to a lot of us, especially my age. I think that it is going to transform, like the technology itself on blockchain is going to transform retail. And so I am trying to brace myself for that. Like how am I going to be using NFTs and how in my business? So I think that's just another example of constantly learning and changing. Like you get kind of comfortable, like we got real comfortable on Instagram and Facebook and doing ads, and then everything changed with their algorithm and the iOS phones and the way advertising is being reached. And then so now they're saying TikTok is the best thing, but I'm not, we're gonna go up and do dances on TikTok. So I have to figure out how TikTok is going to be working with my business. So it's just, not just at the young age, but like even at my age, like things are constantly changing. My business in 20 years has changed so much, like the type of jewelry that I'm making, the way I'm producing things, who I'm working with, how big of a company it is. It's constantly pivoting. We did a huge pivot during COVID even. We went from having 80% of our business be wholesale to and 20% business on my website, to literally flipping it because all of the stores closed, and then I totally pivoted and was only selling online, and now back to where we are in the pandemic now, my business is 50-50. So in terms of sales to stores and sales on my website. So there's just a constant evolving. Once you realize that you're always evolving, you're always changing, you're always kind of rolling with the punches. And if you can get to the point of enjoying that process, I think that's just a better way to flow, knowing that there's always going to be change. It's inevitable. Back to answering some questions, I think that probably one of the things that helped me prepare for my career is just always moving forward. So after high school, I just went to college. I didn't get too stuck on finding a major. I think that sometimes making these big decisions can kind of like make us really stagnant, like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'm just not going to do anything and I'm just going to go work at Starbucks or something. But if you can just do it anyway, go move forward with whatever it is. Like, I'm not, I got a degree in finance. I'm not wearing a suit and working on the stock exchange. I'm running a jewelry business right now. So to just not get so stuck, I just think moving forward is always has always worked for me. And then the other question, what are the international opportunities in my field? Currently, we do sell to some stores in Japan. We have stores in France. We have stores in England. We kind of sell all over the place. So, and actually there's a lot of opportunity because we are pretty untapped there. We also do ship internationally on our website to most countries. So there's a lot of opportunity there. There's just basically things you have to figure out when you're shipping overseas and what kind of taxes, and there's always some kind of learning curve, but that's just part of the whole being an entrepreneur, constantly learning. I think in summary, I just wanted to also mention that that I also do believe that all of these jobs that we have are all valid experience. When I was in high school, I worked in a restaurant. Serving people at a restaurant is some of the best learning that you can do. That just working with people, has helped me with dealing with customer service now. I'm always surprised by what people, how they act when they're being served, or they bought something from you. In this case, like we actually have a lot of fun in the office talking about some of the crazy customer service stuff that happens. Like, it's insane. So learning how to work with people in the service industry can set you up for so many opportunities for learning. So working at Starbucks, working in restaurants, working retail, all of those things are really valid experience. Even your time in high school, working with teachers that maybe you don't always see eye to eye on, being around students that maybe you don't necessarily agree with things on. All of this is all valid experience. Just being in the world and working with people has helped me make decisions to grow my business and to be an employer.
Hey there, Cougars. Thanks so much for inviting me to your virtual career day this year. My name is Louisa Stam, and I'm Mr. Gray's wife and Toby and Zosha's mom. I am the Chief Medical Officer of Assembly Biosciences, a small biotech company in South San Francisco. After college, I went to medical school and to graduate school and received MD and PhD degrees. Following that, I trained as an infectious disease physician and worked in a hospital. Now in my job, I work as both a doctor and a scientist and oversee the development of new drugs for viral diseases like hepatitis B. Specifically, my team designs the clinical trials to evaluate whether new drugs are safe and work as they should in patients. With regard to lifestyle, I work regular hours and have some flexibility. I spend most of my days working on the computer or in meetings, either remotely in Half Moon Bay or here in the offices in South San Francisco. I also work closely with the scientists who work in the lab downstairs. Prior to the pandemic, I would travel quite often. I'd go to at least 2 international conferences a year to stay up to date on the latest scientific findings. I would also go with regular frequency to meet regulators across the globe and update them on the latest clinical developments. If you're interested in drug development, either in biotech or in large pharmaceutical companies, I would recommend talking to someone who's in the industry. There's a lot of different things that you can do depending on your interest, including working at the bench like a scientist or working on the business side of things. So it's nice to have someone to show you the lay of the land. Since patients all around the world have the potential to benefit from new medicines, there are a lot of international opportunities in drug development. I've been lucky enough to travel around the world, including to the UK, Sweden, France, and China, to talk to physicians and their patients, as well as regulators, about the results from our clinical studies. I'm bilingual and I speak Portuguese. When I traveled to Brazil, I was able to conduct a very productive meeting in Portuguese about a new medicine for hepatitis C that we're planning to bring to Brazil. One thing I wish I had known in high school was that life is not a straight path and that you need to seize opportunities as they arise. It's equally key to find a mentor who's invested in you, personally and professionally, and who'll help you sort through options and find your path. When I was younger, I had thought that I wanted to be a doctor, and I knew that I loved science. Even though I don't see patients anymore, I found a career that I really love and allows me to combine my passion for science and medicine and have the potential to improve the lives of patients around the world. Good luck, Cougars, and thanks again for inviting me to your virtual career day. Hey there, Cougars. As I mentioned, I work really closely with the scientists who work downstairs in the lab here in South San Francisco. I want to introduce you to Dr. Nerudin, who's going to show you how we can tell whether our drugs are working on cells in a petri dish before we put them in a patient.
Thank you, Louisa. Hi, my name is Nerudin, and I'm a research scientist at Assembly Biosciences. Here at Assembly, we are actually designing a lot of new chemical drugs to block virus replication and spread. One of the ways in which we can tell our drugs are working is by using an instrument called a fluorescence microscope, which you can see right here, the instrument that I'm pointing to. By using this kind of an instrument, you can actually see individual single cells that are infected, and then you can see the effect of the drug visually by targeting viral proteins that you can see on a microscope like this. And here's an example of that. There are two different conditions here. On the left are cells that are not treated with the drug, in which you can see the green uniform kind of fluorescent signal coming from the cells, and that actually is a virus protein that we are targeting. And in a normal cell that is just replicating the virus, you can see the green is all uniform. On the other hand, in contrast, in cells treated with the drug that we have designed, we can completely change how that virus protein is functioning or behaving inside cells. And in this particular instance, it is actually getting all clustered together and is not able to function properly. And in doing so, we're actually able to also block virus replication. So as I showed you right now, fluorescence microscopy is just one of the techniques that we use here at Assembly Bio to further understand and define how well our drugs are working that we are designing in-house. Thank you.
Great, thanks Nerudin, and keep up the great work.
Hi, I'm Runa Ray. I'm a fashion designer by profession and an environmentalist. So how did I get into this profession? Well, I was at crossroads, whether to choose being a doctor or getting to be a fashion designer. And I decided to be a fashion designer because I thought I could make a difference to this field, and we already have several doctors that are around us. As a fashion environmentalist, life can be pretty hectic because you're not just creating collections, but you're also doing a lot of writing, you're interacting with a lot of people, and you're trying to get sustainable designs out. So what I do is I also work with the United Nations, where we try to create collections using fabric that is unconventional, like for example jute. And this is kind of embroidery that was done on jute. So work-life balance is something which you need to manage as long as you're enjoying what you do. If you want to be a fashion designer, you shouldn't be worried about it at all, because there's so many options. You can be an illustrator, you can be a great seamstress, you can learn to drape various fabrics to make fabulous dresses, and at the same time you can be of benefit to society because you'd be creating jobs. I think being bilingual is really important because it would help you navigate through people, because through the supply chain, which is predominant in the fashion industry, you'd get to speak with lots of people. So having a firm foundation in English, of course, and various other languages is definitely going to take you a long way. The fashion industry is going to keep evolving, and the more it evolves, the more sustainable it's going to become, because we are working towards net zero emissions when it comes to 2050. And what I learned from high school was that never stop learning. Education is a gateway. It's definitely going to show you the path that you're going to follow, but that doesn't mean that when you finish school, you stop learning. I just joined Stanford, and I'm going to do my education in creative writing, which is going to help my fashion journalism. What made me choose fashion when I was at crossroads? I guess it was just the belief in myself and knowing what I was good at. I knew I was good at creating stuff. I was a creative person. And at the same time, I knew I'd like to get a message out to the world. So how did I plan to combine these things? And fashion for me was the only outlet for creativity to exist. So how did I prepare for my career? Well, I read a lot of books. I tried to see what other people were doing. I made a lot of notes. I studied quite a bit. I decided to know everything that existed in the career that I was going to choose, because fashion has different realms that you can actually choose from. It's not just creating clothes. You can be a stylist, you can be a journalist, you could be a teacher, you could be a fashion photographer. Well, the choices are endless. So what are the choices that I have in my field? You have a lot of choices when you are talking international. You could be a fashion choreographer, you could be a model, you could be an illustrator, you could be a graphic designer, you could even be somebody who makes music for shows. You could be a journalist, like I said, and you could also be an editor of a fashion magazine. So the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm Tanya. I'm a technical designer in apparel at T Collection in San Francisco. Out of high school, I went to Otis Parsons School of Design in LA, now called Otis, and then to the Academy of Art in San Francisco. I also took classes at Kenyatta. I did not end up going into fashion right away. I worked for a production company instead, and then started a flower event business in San Francisco. After my oldest daughter, Mirabelle, started kindergarten, I went back into the apparel industry. I'm fortunate to work for a small company which has approximately 50 to 80 people, several of which are contractors, founded by women. A big part of why I've chosen to stay at T versus going to a bigger, say, Gap Inc. is because of the flexibility offered. This is a very family-friendly company with great work from home policies. This means I go into the office 2 to 3 days a month. Our workload is production calendar based. We design 4 seasons a year with multiple deliveries in each. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It does get really stressful during deadlines. The key is to learn how to manage your time. It's taken me a while to get the work-life balance under control. I think ultimately this is a choice each individual must make. Either you work 40 hours or you work 60 hours. It's up to you to communicate with your employer or manager if there are unrealistic expectations. There are also laws around this, which is a whole other topic of conversation. Technical designers generally travel once every 1 to 2 years. These are factory or vendor visits. This is where we train our overseas technical designers to follow our company's standards. Other departments like production travel more frequently. It also depends on the company you work for. Many design departments travel frequently for shopping and inspiration trips. Pre-COVID, we were in the office a lot more. Work was very social place, constant gatherings, lunches, retreats. We're starting to go back there, even though we are still able to work from home, which is great. how to get there. That's a good question. Going to art or fashion school or majoring in fashion is definitely the best way to get into the apparel industry. In these schools, students will build portfolios which are specific to the area of fashion they wish to go into. Those schools will be able to help with placing students in internships as well as jobs. Internships are so important. Take advantage and do several. The more you do, the more you'll gain experience and figure out which part of the industry you want to be in, whether it's design, marketing, merchandising, technical design, supply chain, sort of a bad word these days. Oh, and it looks really good on your resume. People love to see paid or unpaid internships, although I think most internships now are paid for labor law reasons. One of the bonuses too of doing an internship at an apparel company is oftentimes they'll hire you. They'll hire their own interns, which is such a great thing. Oops. Dog. Locally, we have Skyline and Kenyatta, which both have fashion classes. Also, San Francisco State has a fashion department, as far as I know. Then we have the art schools, the Academy of Art and CCA and the Art Institute in San Francisco. Also, FIDM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco as well. And then there's always New York, LA, and Chicago, which are great cities for fashion. Good luck on deciding your career path and in your next chapter. Please reach out if you ever have any fashion industry, apparel industry related questions. I'd be happy to answer your questions. So this is my garage that we've turned into my office for COVID. A couple bean bags under the table, my electric bike. This is my measuring table. I measure samples when they come in and take notes on the fit and decide what needs to change and communicate back with the vendors. So I always have lots of samples sitting here. And then here is my desk and my monitors. And there's a construction sketch that I provide the factories with so they know how to put a piece of clothing together. So that's one of the things you learn in school is construction methods and cheapest way of doing things, the most expensive way of doing things, and the most practical way of doing things. And then I've got my PLM system where I have all my specs for all sizes. So this is kind of my day-to-day setup here in my house. I actually have a picture of my work dress forms on my desktop monitor here. When I go into the office, I fit my samples on our dress forms depending what size they are. This is a size 5 and it has different body positions marked on it so that we're very consistent when we're fitting styles. So I fit them in there and then I bring them home and I do all my comments and pattern work here. So that gives you an idea of my dress form.
Hey, I am Jonathan Malino, and I am a 28-year-old video producer from the Bay Area. So my career started at San Diego State University, where I studied film, and from there I moved to LA, where I started working in entertainment. I was doing music videos, TV shows, movies, and commercials, working as like a freelancer and a contractor. So I didn't necessarily have a job, but I got to work on all of these amazing sets. Working with the likes of like Joji, Rich Bryan, Kyle, Lil Yachty, Jack Harlow, doing film. I mainly worked as a gaffer, which is lighting, and also as a director of photography, doing cinematography. And so one of the best stories I could tell about breaking in was essentially I shot a short film with a director that I met in LA, and we premiered it downtown in LA. And, you know, it was his first time directing a short film, so he wasn't like a big name or anything, but we wanted to go all out, had our own red carpet premiere, and a producer from Turkey saw the video, or came to our premiere and saw our short film, and liked it so much that she actually reached out for my information, and she had me shoot a docuseries for her all around the world. I was able to I was able to travel to places like Paraguay, Singapore, Indonesia, Egypt, doing what I love. So I shot a documentary for her, and that was probably one of like my favorite projects that I ever got to work on. So I continued my career in LA, building like better contacts, working on bigger productions for about 4 years, and then after that I wanted to move back to the Bay Area just to be around the people I love. I was born and raised in San Francisco, so I love the Bay Area. And I came back, and now I am a video producer at a fintech company called Truebill, making 6 figures. The reason that I got here was because of my experience and background in LA. You know, people that work here in the Bay Area mostly do stuff like tech and commercials, which is a great career to have. But they wanted somebody that had a different background, a more storytelling and, you know, stronger production background, which I got from working and being in LA. And the only reason I was able to climb the ladder so fast in LA was because of my education at San Diego State, going to school for film. The people that I worked around in LA, actually, most of them did not go to school. And having that formal training is what was able to separate me from the crowd, and I was able to move up faster when people realized, oh, like, Jonathan actually knows more about lighting. Jonathan actually knows more about camera. Like, he really understands this stuff. I'm not going to lie to you, though. When I was going to San Diego State, I did not know how to shoot something as big as, like, Spider-Man, working with, like, full-on, like, blue screens and lighting, like, a 30 by 30, you know, diffusion from, like, the catwalk. But having that background and education at San Diego State and then going to LA is what set up my career so well. And so if you're wondering if you can do this, like have a creative career, you have to want it. There have been a couple times where I wanted to quit, and I had like my starving artists moments for sure. But if it wasn't for like my friends and family being so supportive and like believing in me that I could have a career here, I would not be here today. So for those of you that are interested, you can do it. You just have to want it and stick to it.